Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis 2 is happening at UFC 312 next year, and I've got to be honest with you guys, it's kind of hard to feel excited about that right now. Now, don't get me wrong, I'll probably start getting hype once fight week rolls around, but after all, their first fight was an absolute war. People were quick to call it a robbery, but I'm one of the few who thought Dricus deserved the win. It was actually razor close, but Dricus just landed the bigger shots and pushed the pace harder. Now, with that being said, the rematch doesn't have the same energy, and I think there are a few reasons for that. I mean, for starters, I was all in for the rematch right after their first fight. It made total sense. But the UFC decided to delay it and instead gave Israel Adesanya yet another title shot. And let's be real here, Izzy didn't deserve the opportunity. The guy was 2-2 in his last 4 fights, and he already been handed an instant rematch after he lost to Alex Pereira. Then when he fought Sean, it wasn't just a loss, it was one of the most one-sided fights of his career. Sean absolutely shut him down. Giving Izzy another chance at the belt felt unnecessary, and honestly, it killed some of the momentum that the division had going. So now we're here. Finally, we're getting Dricus versus Sean 2, and it just doesn't feel like the hype has moved on. I'm not saying that this is a bad fight. Sean absolutely earns his rematch, but the delay and everything that happened since their first fight has taken the spotlight away. The buzz in the division has shifted to Khamzat Chimaev, and let's be honest, Khamzat's win over Robert Whittaker wasn't just impressive, it was insane. Nobody does that to Whittaker. Khamzat just didn't win, he dominated him, and now everyone wants to see him fight Dricus. And don't get me wrong, it's not fair to Sean, but that's the reality. Khamzat is shining like a new toy in the division, and people want to see what he can do against the champ. It's kind of like when a team earns their way to the finals, but then another team pulls off a shocking upset and all the hype shifts to them. The first team did everything right, but the buzz is now on the underdog who just shocked the world. That's what it feels like here. Sean earned this fight, but Khamzat versus Dricus feels like the matchup everyone really wants. And that's the thing, man. The most interesting part about this fight is that nobody really knows what's gonna happen. Khamzat in the first round is practically unbeatable. His ability to impose his will with his grappling is just insane. People want to see if he can do the same thing to Dricus, because Dricus is one of those guys who seems like he has plot armor or something. The dude just has some crazy aura about him, and he somehow always finds a way to get it done. But here's the kicker, if Dricus can survive the first round with Khamzat, then it's Khamzat who's in trouble. Khamzat is only known for having 2 rounds of cardio, and if Dricus can drag him into deep waters, this thing can get really ugly really fast for Khamzat. That's what makes this fight so fascinating. It's a battle of dangerous elements. And honestly, if I'm gonna be real with you guys, Sean Strickland just isn't as intriguing in comparison. I say Dricus beats Sean 8 out of 10 times, and I'll explain why. It's because Dricus is pure chaos. He's the kind of fighter who doesn't follow the script, and that's a nightmare for someone like Sean. Sean's whole game is built around control. He wants to dictate the pace, stay in his comfort zone, and outclass his opponents with his sharp jab and his clean counters. But Dricus doesn't let that happen. He's aggressive, wild, and unpredictable. He forces you to fight his fight, and Sean just doesn't do well in those kinds of situations. And then there's the power difference. Sean is a volume striker. He'll land clean, precise punches all day, but he doesn't have the kind of power that makes opponents think twice. Dricus, on the other hand, throws every punch like he's trying to end the fight. In the first fight, Sean landed more often, but Dricus landed the bigger, more impactful shots. Now, don't get me wrong, Sean busted up Dricus' face, sure, but it was from an accumulation of punches. When Dricus landed, it felt like Sean got hit by a truck. That's the kind of power that makes all the difference in a close fight. Another thing to consider is that if Sean wins, it's probably gonna be by decision. I just don't see him finishing Dricus because, like I mentioned earlier, Sean isn't known for having knockout power. But here's the thing, when it comes to the damage criteria in MMA, damage always trumps everything else, and if you really think about it, Dricus is way more likely to land the more impactful shots, and that's the kind of thing that could sway this fight in his favor, especially with how he always finds a way to leave a mark in every fight. And let's not forget about cardio. A lot of people doubt Dricus because of his chaotic style, saying that he'll gas out. but somehow that wild pace works for him. He doesn't slow down. If anything, he gets stronger as the fight keeps going on. Sean has great cardio too, but it's built for a slower, more controlled fight. When Dricus forces him to high pressure exchanges, it wears Sean down mentally and physically. Dricus thrives in chaos, and that's something that Sean struggles to deal with. Dricus also has a grappling advantage. He's not just a brawler. He's got a legit ground skills, and he can take the fight to the mat if he needs to. Sean has solid takedown defense, but Dricus' ability to mix things up makes him unpredictable. If Dricus feels like the striking exchanges aren't going his way, he can always switch things up and drag Sean into grindy grappling matches. That's versatile is one of the reasons why Dricus is such a bad matchup for Sean. And that's the thing, man. The takedown threat really opens up the striking game. And honestly, I just think the chaotic, high-pressure style is just too mumuch for Sean to handle. This is one of the biggest reasons why Cannonier was able to beat Sean. He pushed the pace, forced Sean to react, and consistently challenged him. Sean thrives in more controlled, technical fights, but if someone disrupts that rhythm and adds chaos, it's a whole different story. And with someone like Dricus, who thrives in that kind of wild, unpredictable fight, it just feels like a tough matchup for Sean all around. Now, to be fair, Sean is a phenomenal fighter, and his style works beautifully against most opponents, but Dricus is built to exploit his weaknesses. The pressure, the power, the unpredictability, it's all works against Sean's methodical approach. Could Sean figure out a way to beat Dricus? Sure. He's skilled enough to make the adjustments, but it's always going to be an uphill battle for him. Dricus just has too many tools that make it too difficult for him. And honestly, I want to see the middleweight division move forward. Dricus as champ opens up so many exciting possibilities. I want to see him face new challengers like Khamzat Chimaev, Nasruddin Imavov, Cajo Brahajo. The division is stacked with fresh, dynamic contenders, and those matchups feel like the next fight that will take the division to the next level. Now, don't get me wrong, Sean deserves the rematch. He earned it, but it feels like the least exciting option right now. Sean's style, while effective, does bring the same kind of energy or unpredictability that these younger fighters do. It's not that the fight is bad, it just feels like the division hasn't moved past it. That said, the hype will probably build as we get closer to the fight. It always does. But right now, it's hard to wish for something new and exciting. Dricus versus Sean 2 will be a solid fight, but it's hard to shake the feeling that this division is ready for something bigger. Fresh matchups, new faces, and the promise of chaos. Now that's what gets me hyped. However, at the end of the day, we're still getting the matchup, and I'm not going to complain too much about it, okay? I'm still going to look forward to it, like I mentioned earlier, but that's just what I wanted to express today. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like always, guys, I'll see you guys on my next one.